It was supposed to be just another hike, a weekend escape into nature, where the hum of the city and the weight of everyday life would fall away, leaving only the steady rhythm of our boots against the earth and the whispering trees of the Jefferson National Forest. I had always found solace in the woods, the way the sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting dappled patterns on the ground, the scent of pine and soil filling my lungs. But that day, something was different. It was as if the forest was holding its breath, waiting. My partner Josh walked ahead of me, his backpack swaying with every step. We had taken this trail before, an easy route that looped around the forest, offering stunning views and a quiet serenity that always made the world seem far away. But as we rounded a bend, the feeling of isolation turned from peaceful to unsettling. "Do you hear that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Josh stopped, turning back to me with a puzzled expression. "Hear what?" It was the silence. The absence of birds, the rustling of leaves, the usual symphony of the forest. Instead, there was only the wind, sighing through the trees, as if warning us to turn back. But we didn't. We pressed on, the trail narrowing as we moved deeper into the woods. It wasn't long before we stumbled upon the campsite. At first glance, it seemed abandoned, just a lonely tent with its flap half open and a few pieces of trash scattered around. A can of beer here, a wrapper there. It looked like someone had left in a hurry. "Strange," Josh muttered, stepping closer to inspect the scene. "Who leaves their gear like this?" I shrugged, trying to shake off the unease creeping up my spine. Maybe they'll be back soon? But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. There was something off about the place. The tent stood there like a hollow shell, an empty promise of safety. We decided to investigate further. As we moved closer, we noticed a figure crouched a little way off, setting up another tent near a clearing. She was a young woman, maybe in her early 20s, her dark hair tied back in a messy bun. She seemed oblivious to our approach, humming softly to herself as she worked. "Hey there," Josh called out, breaking the silence. The woman looked up, startled at first, but quickly smiled. "Oh, hey, didn't see you there." We introduced ourselves, making small talk about the trail and the weather. Her name was Alice, and she claimed she had come out here alone for some peace and quiet. Something about her seemed ordinary. Too ordinary. It was like she was trying too hard to be unremarkable, blending into the background like she was part of the forest itself. "I camp here all the time," Alice said, her eyes flickering toward the abandoned site behind us. "It's usually pretty quiet. Not many people know about this spot." "Did you see who left that tent over there?" I asked, gesturing toward the empty campsite. Alice shook her head, her smile faltering just a little. "No, I didn't see anyone. Must have been gone by the time I got here." There was a brief pause, a heavy silence hanging between us. Something in her tone felt off, like she wasn't telling us the whole truth. But before I could press further, Josh broke in with a laugh. "Well, hope you enjoy your peace and quiet. We'll let you get back to it." We waved our goodbyes and continued down the trail. But as we walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that Alice's eyes lingered on us a little too long. The hike back was uneventful at first. We chatted about plans for the evening, what we'd make for dinner, the mundane things that usually fill the quiet. But soon, the forest seemed to shift again, the atmosphere thickening with something I couldn't quite name. It started as a flicker of movement in the corner of my eye. Something dark and large moving between the trees. I stopped, my heart racing, but when I turned, there was nothing there. Just the trees, standing silent and tall, their shadows stretching long across the trail. "You okay?" Josh asked, noticing my sudden halt. "I thought I saw something," I mumbled, feeling a little foolish. "Probably just a deer," he said, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. We kept walking, but the unease grew with every step. The air felt colder, heavier, and the shadows seemed to dance around us, twisting and shifting as though the forest itself was watching. And then we heard it. A low, guttural growl rumbling through the underbrush like something ancient and hungry. Josh grabbed my arm, pulling me closer, and we both turned toward the sound. In the distance, between the trees, I saw it. A hulking, dark figure, its eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. We didn't wait. We ran. The underbrush tore at our clothes as we sprinted down the trail, the thing behind us crashing through the forest like a force of nature. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I didn't dare look back. All I could hear was the pounding of my heart and the thunderous footsteps closing in. We burst out of the woods and into the small clearing where we had parked the car. Josh fumbled with the keys, his hands shaking as he yanked the door open. We threw ourselves inside, slamming the door shut, but before we could even catch our breath, everything went black. When I woke, the first thing I noticed was the silence. The car was still, the engine off, and the sky had darkened with the fading light of dusk. I checked my watch. 2 hours had passed. 2 whole hours, gone in the blink of an eye. Josh stirred beside me, groaning as he rubbed his eyes. What happened? I don't know, I whispered, my voice trembling. We must have passed out. We sat there in stunned silence, trying to piece together what had just happened. I glanced back toward the trailhead, half expecting to see that dark figure watching us from the edge of the forest. But there was nothing. No sign of the creature. No sign of Alice. She's gone, I said, my throat dry. Josh frowned, looking confused. Who? Alice, the woman we met. She's gone. His face paled as the realization hit. We had left her back there, alone. But deep down, I knew she wasn't coming back. Somehow, I knew that whatever we had encountered in those woods had taken her. Or worse, she had been part of it all along. It's been months since that day, but I still think about it. I think about the way the forest felt alive, the way it watched us, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I've scoured the internet, trying to find stories of other people who've experienced something similar, but all I've found are whispers, tales of strange figures lurking in the woods, of hikers who vanish without a trace, of something dark and ancient that calls the forest home. I don't know what we saw that day, and maybe I never will. But sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I can still feel it. The presence. Watching. Waiting. And I can't help but wonder, is it still out there in the shadows, waiting for its next victim? Or is it closer than I think, watching me even now?